Hello NCU students, welcome to week 6. This week we have a number of learning objectives from chapter 12 that we're going to be working on. Chapter 12 is about the lean supply chain and it's about lean manufacturing, lean principles in general. So our learning objectives this week include explaining the lean production and lean principles, understanding what an inventory pull system is, understanding the basics of the Toyota production system. And the Toyota production system, in case you didn't know, is really the whole background for the development of lean manufacturing here in the U.S. And in fact, in the attend section of the videos, I included a short clip on the history of lean here in the U.S. put together by a Nike executive, former Nike executive named Larry Coburn, who also teaches at Northwest Christian University there. So also look at knowing the basics of lean supply chain management. We're going to look at knowing how a Kanban system works. And then we're going to explain that throughout this week, in your book, you'll look at different applications of lean principles in service industries. And in fact, near the end of this little overview, I included an example of one area that I worked in where we use lean principles. You have undoubtedly heard of lean manufacturing somewhere in your career by now or somewhere in the news by now. So this week we're going to take apart the lean concepts and study them at a higher level. There are two basic fundamentals that you need to understand about lean principles, and these are really easy to remember. And if you remember these two, you pretty much understand lean. One, lean focuses on eliminating waste in the business process. Doesn't matter if it's a manufacturing industry or retail industry or other service industries. Lean focuses on removing 7 different types of waste found in almost any industry. And I'll list those out for you here in a minute. And the second thing that you need to remember is that lean focuses on respecting people. That is, companies implementing lean principles strive for lifetime employment. They strive for things called level payrolls, so that whether the business is up or down, they still maintain the same level of payroll, same number of employees. And that's done out of respect for people. They share bonuses. Companies who do lean manufacturing and lean principles share their bonuses. And they have a more even workflow for their employees throughout the day. So there's not these high times of lots of things has to get done, where there's a high stress and low times where there's nothing to do and you're standing around. In a lean manufacturing environment or in a company that develops lean and uses lean, there's this even flow of work throughout the day that people can keep up with. People working in organizations implementing lean principles, people are viewed as assets by management, not just a replacement cog in the wheel that you put on and off the shelf. People are respected. One of the videos I attached in this week's Attend tab talks about the importance of respecting people and what that means and how that's, how that is used in the lean manufacturing environment. There's an example that I give in this video that I think you'll find interesting about how, the company that implemented lean did that out of respect for people, and you can hear the voices of the people talk about that. In lean manufacturing, there are 7 different streams of waste that receive focus. Check out the link that I provided in the required tab for this week to get a more fuller detail. But here they are really quick. You can see them. Overproduction. That results from making too much inventory too early. People are working on the wrong activities is kind of what that means. Waiting around happens when people are standing around with nothing to do. Transportation waste occurs when material has to be moved between workstations. Unnecessary movement, if you will, of material or inventory. Inventory itself is too much inventory on hand is a waste. Remember, inventory is your money sleeping, so you want to minimize that inventory. This form of waste goes hand in hand with overproduction. And one of the things you'll get to remember and get to know as you read the material is that too much inventory creates this large sea of inventory that covers up all problems. Most inventory, if you have a lot of it, can cover up a lot of the problems underneath the waterline, if you will, of inventory. Covers up processing problems, covers up other forms of waste, covers up scrap, everything. So, too much inventory on hand, a lot of waste. Processing, too many process steps to accomplish a particular task or to make something, that's a form of waste. Motion happens when people are required to do a lot of walking, bending, lifting, stretching, etc. All those types of things that just sometimes are not necessary to do if the workstation or the area where you're working is organized differently. And then this final area of defects occurs when scrap, or call it non-conforming material, is built. In the service industry, that would be like a bad or low quality service delivered to the customer. Now, some people have added even an eighth waste identified as over-design. This happens when the design is significantly overachieves its intended specifications. Dumb example, think about it like this though. It would be like designing and manufacturing a large, expensive titanium hammer to drive home a small nail, when all you need is a simple, inexpensive hammer. That's an example of an over-design. A lot of waste in that. Let's talk about pull systems for a moment, because inventory pull systems are reviewed in your text this week. Most inventory systems, by default, are push systems. That is, based on customer forecast, the inventory management system will blindly forecast all the needs within the planning window. It'll order the material, it'll deliver the material to the plant, and without a pull system in place, the inventory can just sit and wait to be processed at the receiving dock. Again, inventory sitting is money sleeping. It's your money sleeping, not doing anything. It's not working for you. In a pull system, though, signals are generated to all the upstream processes by the shipping dock as the finished goods are shipped out the door to the customer. So, for example, 1 unit of product shipped to the customer generates a signal or a Kanban to the upstream process that just fed the finished goods there. So 1 unit is shipped, 1 unit is built to replace it. This happens all the way back upstream to the receiving dock where inventory is received. In this system, inventory is pulled as needed from the receiving dock all the way through the process to the shipping dock and to the customer. So the customer is pulling the inventory instead of the inventory system pushing the inventory through the system. Exhibit 12.1 shows this pretty good graphically. Mature companies that have been doing MRP and lean pull systems for some time have figured out how to integrate those two systems because they can work together in concert with each other. Companies adopting lean principles rarely talk about their supply chain without referring to it as a value chain. Think about it like this. In a lean company, it's expected that value is added to the product or the service all along the process. And even the suppliers must be focused on reducing waste and adding value in their plants before delivering the product to the customer. Everyone in the process, from the raw material to the final product or service that's delivered to the customer, is adding value. Thus the name value chain and not just supply chain. So one of the lean tools often used to show the entire value chain is called a value stream map. Value stream maps are a great visual on how inventory flows, what the processing steps are, and the control mechanism. Value stream maps are also used to identify all the waste in the process and the potential workshops, so they're called Kaizen events, to make improvements. Check out exhibits 12.2, 12.3, and 12.4 in your text, and you can kind of see some examples of value stream maps and how they identify the whole value chain, for a particular product. And in my days in manufacturing and in the service industry, I had plenty of experiences in creating and using value stream maps. And the slide that you're looking at now is an example of a value stream map that we put together for a service branch in one of our Michigan branches. Now, I'm not going to take you through the details, but I think you can see it's a map of our service that's being delivered, how applications for jobs are inventories to us, right? And you can see it's messy. Messy is fine as long as it's readable. We use this map to help us make improvements at the branches where we were studying. Okay, that's it for now. Please be sure to read all of Chapter 12. This week there is also an online exam that's going to be covering Chapters 5, 9, and 12. That's project management, MRP, and then lean supply chains respectively. All right, please be sure to watch this week's devotional and catch all of the required and attend tabs. Remember, God is on his throne, always has been, always will be.